Hello all and welcome to this afternoon's beer review. It's about 5:30 in the afternoon and I'm going to dub this review the My Car is Dead Again. It's my fault. I wasn't careful and I added too much to the engine and I did too much oil to the engine and I didn't notice. Yeah, the flyback from, there being too much oil in the engine probably shorted my alternator. So, yet even more money spent on a 20-year-old car. I would get a new used car, but I mean, like, even one that's like a 2010 instead of a 2005 is still like $10,000 in Hawaii. So, it's like, what you gonna do, man? What you gonna do? Suffice to say, I'm gonna be walking to work to the next few days, for the next few days. So, yeah, I'm gonna have all the time to go and burn off the calories of this beer and sweat out the alcohol tomorrow morning, that's for sure. I live about 2.5 miles away from work, so it's not an overly arduous walk, but it is uphill. So what is it that we're reviewing? So yesterday, before my car died, literally stalled as I was pulling into where I usually park, so thank God for small favors. I just held up like I was like a church lady testifying or something there. And yeah, so I went to Bottleheads and got this. They had this available. And this is, so I got 4 beers in total, so that's 4 total reviews, which is good because I don't think I'm going to be able to go and get beer easily for the next week or so. I'm hoping to have somebody come out on Monday. We'll see how that goes. This is Carlsberg Premium Elephant Pilsner. If you remember the story, this was the beer that one of my professors, a Chinese religion professor, this was his favorite beer, and he always bemoaned the fact that he could not find it in Hawaii. He was Danish, of course. And yeah, 7.2 ABV. Some people call it a Euro strong lager. Some people call it a Bock. I wouldn't know what to classify it as, but since it's a macro brewer, I'm probably going to consider under a macro lager. So it probably has, not quite to style as a Bock. But let's go read the back, shall we? Unforgettable. Pale gold in color, Elephant is rich in malty character, with a hint of caramel, balanced by a satisfyingly dry bitterness, once enjoyed, never forgotten. Yeah, so ingredients, water, barley malt, and hops. So it is pure beer, no adjuncts. So yeah, classify it as a Bock, classify it as a Euro Strong lager. Your mileage may vary. So let's go and pour this out, shall we? Now, I've never actually had this before. He once brought like a few bottles to a party, a department party, but he just kept them to himself because he got them at great cost during a flight. He had gone on a trip, so he wanted beer, but he brought his own beer because he wanted to bring his own favorite beer. And I can't fault him. I wouldn't be like wanting to share, my 3 bottles of a beer got at great cost. Okay, so yeah, golden, clear, somewhat carbonated, off-white, foamy white head. Okay, bready malts. Kind of overly sweet smelling. Kind of has that macro lager over sweet smell. Actually, to tell the truth, it kind of reminds me of the smell of a 40, though not as harsh or chemical. Just that really, really sweet smell. some grassy, flowery hops, but mostly malts there. Kind of a slight skunky smell too, which is odd because it's in a can. Okay, onto the palate now, shall we? Hmm. I'm kind of wondering if I should have left this out longer to warm up a bit, whether that'd be a good or bad thing. So fairly thick on the palate. Surprisingly not boozy, but it's still pretty cold. I mean, there's a taste there, but nothing really is standing out to me. Let's go and top that off. So kind of sweet, a little bit estery up front. Then there's bittering hops towards the finish, which more or less clears the palate. I mean, it tastes like beer, but not an astounding beer. It's kind of like this is a heavy lager. So maybe kind of like a fruitiness up front. Let's see if I can get a top note here. Top note's pretty much the same as the bouquet. Maybe a little bit of graininess in the finish. Yes, it warms up. Kind of like an unpleasant bitterness is kind of hanging on the tongue a little bit. Not too strong though. The slight metallic note is emerging in the bouquet. Um, Again, not as bad as some beers I've had before, by a large extent, but you know. Yeah, I don't really have all that much to say about this beer. I mean, it'll get you where you need to go pretty quickly, though. That's for sure. It's 7.2 ABV. Probably pairs well with food. But as a drink in and of itself, I'm kind of reminded of like Asahi Super Dry, where it tastes like beer, and that's pretty much the only thing you can say about it. Yeah, there's malts and then there's hops, but they're not particularly evocative of anything other than beer. Which is kind of sad because I reviewed Carlsberg's Pilsner, and I found it to be a fairly excellent, you know, European lager, far better than Heineken or most of the other Euro macro lagers I've had. This one, even though it's kind of like same company, just like heavier rendition of a Euro lager style, it doesn't have anything that really stands out. It's kind of a heavy beer. That's it. Heavy lager. And yeah, it'll hit you like an elephant, that's for sure. Anyways, um, yeah. Don't know when I'm going to be doing my next review. Having to walk back and forth to work is going to be pretty tiring. Um, yeah. Well, I can't say this is really bad. I can't say it's great either. I wouldn't even say it's meh. It just is, I suppose. Um, yeah, this is worth a visit. I mean, after hearing it talked up so much by that professor, maybe I just like got talked into a letdown or something like that. But that's your beer review for tonight, folks. Cheers.